Thanks for joining us. Tonight we're going to be reading a chapter from The Storm That Wasn't. It's a story about courage, kindness, and family. Before tonight's reading, I sat quietly for a moment thinking about the four little boys that inspired it all. Wesley, Owen, Blake, and Miles. They're not just characters in my book. They're my actual grandsons, my real-life little explorers. I can see their faces when the sky starts to change, those big curious eyes asking, "Nana, is a storm coming?" That's where the story begins, with their wonder, their questions, and their brave little hearts. Chapter 1 begins, Summer at Nana and Papa's. The gravel driveway crunched beneath the car's tires as it rolled to a stop in front of the little lake house. Even before the car settled, the cousins pressed their noses against the windows, eager to escape. "Here we are," called Nana from the porch, waving with a flour-dusted hand. Her apron bore faint smudges of cookie dough, and her silver-gray hair caught the sunlight. The car doors popped open, and Summer spilled out with them. Wesley hopped out first, his blue cap turned backwards, shaded his longer, dark hair. He reached for the heaviest bag before anyone else could. That was Wesley, always carrying what he thought was his job, whether it be luggage or responsibility. Owen bolted out next. His orange t-shirt flashed like a flame as he charged towards the porch. He barely noticed when he stumbled over a clump of daisies, catching himself mid-fall. "Race you, Wes," he shouted, already halfway there, though Wesley still had both arms full. Blake lingered at the car. His curious eyes were fixed on the sky. Why are the clouds so puffy today? And why do some float higher than others? And why... "Come on, Blake," Wesley grunted, shifting the heavy bag. "You can ask Nana about the clouds in a minute." Blake hurried along, still staring upward, as the sky might whisper back answers. Miles toddled behind him, his little legs working hard to keep up. At only 2 years old, Miles didn't speak much yet, but his wide-eyed wonder said plenty. He pointed at a dragonfly zipping past, then at a ripple beyond the trees, and finally at Papa, who was waving from the dock. "Welcome, boys," Papa's deep voice rolled across the lake in a calm wave. He sat with his fishing pole beside him, toolbox at his feet. His cap shaded his face, but the twinkle in his eye was clear. Difficulty flipping the pages. The porch became a joyful jumble of hugs, bags, and greetings. Nana bent to kiss each boy's forehead, though Owen squirmed, pretending he was too big for kisses. The smell of cookies drifted from the open window, making even Wesley pause mid-carry. "Are those..." Blake began. "Yes, cookies," Nana said, laughing. "Still warm, but first, let's get settled." The cousins dashed inside. The screen door squeaked and banged shut behind them. The lake was exactly as they remembered. Shelves lined with seashells, a quilt folded neatly on the couch, framed photos of summers past. The wooden floor creaked in a friendly greeting. Owen bounced from room to room, testing the couch cushions with a running leap. Blake stopped at the wall clock, listening intently. "It ticks faster here," he announced, though no one paid much attention. Wesley sat bags in the corner, straightening them in a little like a general preparing camp. Miles padded quickly behind, dragging his fingertips along the furniture as if to say hello to every piece. After the whirlwind of arrival, they spilled out into the back porch. The lake glistened under the afternoon sun, dragonflies shimmering across the surface. A loon called out, long and haunting. For once, even Owen grew still. "This is the best place in the world," he declared, breaking the hush. Wesley smiled but squinted at the horizon. Far away beyond the trees, a thin streak of gray cloud stretched across the sky. Not enough to spoil the day, but enough to catch his attention. Blake tugged his sleeve. "Those clouds look different. Why are they darker?" "Probably nothing," Wesley said quickly. Being the oldest meant being the calm one. "Still, The gray line stayed tucked in the corner of his mind. The afternoon unfolded with the sweetness of tradition. Nana ushered them into the kitchen where plates of warm cookies waited. Owen grabbed 2 at once, peanut butter crumbs already tumbling from his fingers. Blake asked Nana what made cookies rise in the oven, launching her into a cheerful explanation about heat and air. Wesley listened with half an ear, busy making sure Miles had a cookie too. After snack time, Papa called from outside. "Who wants to help me with the boat motor?" "Me!" shouted Owen, dashing out the door. "Me too," Blake chimed in, though he paused halfway to ask, "How do motors even work?" Papa chuckled, rolling up his sleeves. "I'll show you. Motors are like puzzles. You listen, you look, and you figure out what's wrong." The cousins clustered around Papa, opening the motor's casing. Owen poked at tools, Blake peered closely at wires, and Miles clapped whenever Papa found a new piece to fix. Wesley kept a careful distance, worried someone would get hurt, but Papa's calm steadiness kept everything under control. Meanwhile, Nanny tended her flower beds at the porch. Wesley eventually joined her, pulling weeds with patient hands. "You've got the careful touch," Nana told him warmly. Wesley smiled a little. Wesley straightened a little taller, proud of her words. As evening approached, the cousins wandered back to the dock. The lake shimmered like liquid gold, the air carrying a hint of pine and waterweed. They skipped stones, counted dragonflies, and watched tiny fish dart below the surface. But as the sun lowered, the streak of gray on the horizon thickened. Wesley noticed it first, but this time Blake also did. "Those clouds are bigger now," Blake said softly. Owen shrugged. "Clouds come, clouds go. Don't worry, Blake." He threw another stone, splashing water on his own shorts. Miles pointed to the horizon, his little finger steady. "Ooh," he murmured. It was the kind of sound that wasn't quite a word, but it made Wesley pause. The clouds weren't close yet. Maybe they were nothing. Maybe. Still, as the cousins headed back inside for supper, a quiet question drifted among them. Not one of them, would say aloud, what was happening to the sky? Dinner was a lively affair of spaghetti, garlic bread, and stories. Owen slurped noodles so loudly that Nana covered her smile with a napkin. Blake quizzed Papa about lightning, wanting to know if it really could strike twice in the same place. Miles poked at his noodles thoughtfully, then giggled whenever Wesley made faces across the table. Summer storms are common by the lake, Papa explained, answering Blake's question. Warm air over the water rises, cool air rushes in, and before you know it, he mimed a clap of thunder with his hands, making all 4 cousins jump and laugh. "Do storms scare you, Papa?" Owen asked wide-eyed. Papa's mustache twitched. "No, but I respect them. Respect means you prepare, just in case." Wesley's mind caught on the word prepare. It fit him, like the cap on his head. After summer, the cousins washed up and went into the living room to play with building blocks. Nana tidied up the kitchen while Papa leafed through an old fishing magazine. The cousins sprawled on the rug, building towers. Owen's tower wobbled dangerously with every added piece. Blake studied his like an engineer, explaining that triangles made stronger structures. Miles clapped whenever one toppled, delighted by the crash. The evening felt peaceful, safe, wrapped in the warm glow of family, until crack! Papa's old radio sputtered to life from its spot on the shelf. A voice, soft but stern, cut through the comm. "Severe storm approaching this region. Prepare immediately." The cousins froze. Wesley's heart skipped. Owen's mouth dropped open. Blake gasped, "A storm tonight?" And Miles, who had been in mid-clap, lowered his hands and whispered softly, "No storm." And so the adventure begins with the warning. The room grew still. The cousins had just spotted the first sign of what they thought was a storm. Dark clouds drifting in, wind whispering through the trees, and the sound of thunder somewhere far away. But as the story unfolded, something shifted. The children listened, leaned in closer. They could feel the mystery, the excitement, the questions. Was it really a storm, or something entirely different? By the last line of chapter 1, one little voice whispered, "No storm." That's the best part. The what happens next. Because the storm that wasn't isn't just about weather. It's about curiosity, courage, and the beauty of discovering that not everything that looks scary really is. I can't wait for you to meet Wesley, Owen, Blake, and Miles and see what they discover beyond the clouds. Thank you again for joining us tonight.